Mosoma. Tangativo, ongu satanga, nesama kosa. Alumuna, sisiau, yasama kosa. Amuna yeye, koma, samakosa.
Hello, this is Tempo Afric TV's Beyond the Headline show, and I'm your host, Petros Haile. Today, we have our guest is from Gambia, Mr. YERO JALLOW. Welcome to Tempo Afric TV's Beyond the Headline program. We're going to talk about Gambian history and some current affairs for the first 20-25 minutes. Then we'll go on from there. YERO, as I said, welcome to this program. And I wanted to start from the history of Gambia.
I wanted to first take the opportunity to say thank you, Mr. Haley Petros, who is no stranger to us here in the studio, and also those on the technical side. It is my esteemed pleasure to be here, and will always be here whenever you call. And thank you so much.
Again, YERO is not a stranger for us as well. He's been here before. In fact, he had his own show for quite some times. For the purpose of informing our audience, I wanted to start from the history of Gambia. From 1821 to 1965, Gambia was either direct colony or some sort of protectorate status. Do you mind telling us a little bit about that background? Then we'll go to the next question.
Thank you so much again for that question, Mr. Petros. True. Within the period that you defined, the Gambia was under the British colony. In 1965 was when the Gambia gained independence, which is why every year we celebrate 18 February as the day of national independence for the small West African country called the Gambia. And it might interest you to know probably because there was a big tussle between the French and the British, and then what led to independence, and probably what ended up having the geographical demarcation of the Gambia to the British, and then the other part also to the French. And I'll get to discuss that a little bit as time permits. Thank you.
Okay. The river is called Gambia, so is the country. Is there a reason for that?
That is true. The river is called the River Gambia.
Oh, the River Gambia, okay.
So it goes with the article. So is the country as well. The Gambia also takes the article the.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
guys.
The interesting part, and I'll walk you through a little bit of the history of that, which is very interesting. It's a very rare type of history, but it's also true. So the Gambia takes its name from the river, which is the Gambia.
Oh, okay.
Obviously, we know that rivers takes articles. So you say the River Nile, the River Volta, the River so and so. So the River Gambia.
Gambia, okay.
All right. So Gambia, thoughtfully, the history goes like this: that there is a particular local tribe in the Gambia called the Bainunkas.
Okay.
It's one of the local tribes, or it's a branch of the Mandingo tribe also. it's you know a sub branch.
Oh, okay.
So when you say Gambia, it is from the word Kambi Ya. Kambi is the last name of a person.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
Kambi Ya means the possessive form of somebody's home. Kambi Ya, like you say Haley Ya
Oh, okay.
or
okay.
Jallow Ya.
Yeah, you add up yeah at the end of it.
Yeah,
Okay.
what that means is somebody's home. Ya, your yard, your home.
Okay.
So
okay.
Kambi Ya is Kambi's home. And then now that ended up obviously going to be Gambia. Gambia. So
Okay.
that's where the
Yeah. that's
name
it
Gambia came from.
originated from
Yes.
there. Yeah. Yeah. Usually it's through generation.
Yes.
Even the pronunciation and the word
Yes,
changes. Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. At least we know the roots now.
Yes, thank you so
Okay.
much.
And following that, I just wanted to ask you, Gambia, right after independence, joined the Commonwealth Club, right?
Yes.
What was the reason? It's just because it was part of the British colonial country, or?
That is one of the reasons too, obviously, and that was needed for strategic reasons as well.
Yep. Okay.
To be able to have a larger registry to where they can register and be a part of that building block. You know, obviously for protection, for help, you
Okay.
know, for networking, for selling their image, you know, and that was really strategic. Also.
Okay. Yeah. The Commonwealth principles are based on that, I
Yeah.
believe. Okay.
Yeah, that is true.
And the first president was Sir Dawuda Karaba.
Kairaba Jawara.
Jawara. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, a very respectable leader.
Mhm.
People might disagree with him in certain areas
Okay.
based on principle, of course, but he was one of the. He was a very good leader in terms of his simplicity
Okay.
and
Okay.
his approach to things. You know, and in many ways, he was just as his name sounded, which is Kairaba. And the word Kairaba in our local languages means peace,
Okay.
a person of peace. So it was a title. It was a title for him that he earned by what he demonstrated as being that peaceful leader.
Okay. Okay.
And he's alive, though aging now.
Wow.
He is currently settled in the Gambia.
Oh.
You know, but a very respectable person, very respectable human being. He fought to make sure that the Gambia gained independence alongside others. It wasn't only him. He was only by default the leader.
Oh,
But
okay.
there were other key players too who played alongside him to make sure that the Gambia gained independence from the British colonies.
And remain independent.
That is correct, yes.
And he ruled for 30 years?
President Sadauda Jawara ruled for 30 years.
Oh, okay.
And then he was overthrown by a military junta that came in July 1994, which is July 22nd.
Before that one, though, there was a coup attempt in 1981.
That is correct.
And
You probably want me to
yeah,
walk you through.
yeah, please.
I must say that I was very young at the time,
Okay.
but I followed, including having interact with the very person who led the coup d'etat in the latter part of his life.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I also reviewed the book written by Papa Fall, who wrote Coup d'etat 1981.
Okay.
And I did an extensive coverage on his book review, and I participated greatly, you know, in the online media
Okay.
in terms of Gambia, obviously, and things related.
Oh.
So in 1981, there was a coup d'etat led by the late Kukoi Sambasanya, and Kukoi, you know, felt very frustrated with the way the government was run, according to his own explanation.
Okay.
So to him, you know, there was some corruption, there was nepotism, there was favoritism, there were a lot of things. That's his story. So
Okay.
he needed to see that change of government.
Okay.
And he took to arming the field force. Back then, the Gambia's military or you know, officers were called the field force.
Okay. Yep.
Okay, so which is obviously derived from the British, you know, security system. So he armed those people and then took to the streets.
Okay.
And then he was, of course, he succeeded in taking the government for at least 3 days.
Okay. And the president was out of town for a visit?
That is correct.
Okay.
The president was already in another country. The president obviously was hosted out.
Okay.
So he was hosted out. And then basically I'll get to the other part too.
Okay.
Yes.
I just want to do a follow-up on that one. That is where Senegal came into the picture.
That is correct.
A year later, for one thing, they stopped the coup.
That is correct.
They reversed it, and the relationship began. What kind of relationship was that with the Senegal?
Let me first of all, say it is a very hard topic to talk about.
Okay.
When you talk about 1981, it's a very emotional thing for Gambians. You will see people crying because we lost a lot of lives, and we also lost a lot of. There was a lot of structural damage that was done to the Gambia, because then you're looking at two forces that were armed. The Kukwe group was armed, and then when Senegal came, to put out the fire, they were armed too. So innocent citizens, structures. It was trapped in between those two forces, and that led to a lot of life. Today, when history is being written, those on the side of Kukwe will blame Senegal and say, oh, you know what, it's Abdou Diouf and the Senegalese government that killed Gambians.
Oh.
Until he died, that's always the story he have told Gambians. But on the other hand, others on the other hand said, well, you know what though, Kukwe is responsible for the deaths. To wherever the truth lies, I wanted to say, I hope all those that died during that incident peacefully rest, and those families that were hurt, whose loved ones were snatched away from them, also have taken time to heal. So it was a very difficult time for Gambians, just to let you know.
Oh yeah, no, I agree.
Thank you.
It depends who's telling the story. There may be a reason to start the coup.
That is true.
But there's also a reason for Senegal to get involved.
That is true. Yes.
But I'm glad you put it that way, though.
So going to the next question that you asked, what relation existed after? Obviously, Senegal, as you know, is the one that escorted President Jawara back to the Gambia, right? They fought the battle, say, hey, ground is settled, you have to come back. So he came back. Then at that point, years later, of course, they were talking about the Confederation. The Confederation also would have been a strategic thing. And I am a believer of a Senegambian community. I am a believer of a Senegambian family, a Senegambian population, a Senegambian way of life. And I am really a believer of that.
Okay.
And the reason why I am is because we share the same people. We speak the same languages. We eat the same food. We wear the same clothes. We do the same thing, way of life. The tribes that are found in Senegal, they are the same that are in Gambia. So the only distinctive division is just the colonial division. And the colonial division is not a real division. It just put the boundaries in our minds, which is the French went and colonized Senegal, and the British went and colonized the Gambia. If you take those two things out of those two countries, then you see the same people. Nothing else is different.
Different from
right.
The two, yeah.
So, Petros, what the relationship was going to be with this confederation was to make sure that the two countries continue to work on bilateral ties. For example, trade. And a bridge was also going to be possible between Yelitenda and Bambatenda, which is a place used by the Senegalese mostly. And it generates a lot of revenue for the Gambians, because a lot of Senegalese come to the Gambia through Farafenye, and then there is a river crossing there. We have the ferries there. So if in case the Federation, for example, went through, there was going to be a bridge there, which was going to make transport very easy. But then it was also going to rob Gambia in one way, which is those tariffs, those revenues that were getting collected were not going to just be like that.
Generated
And
by-
then, the other fear, which I'm going to tell you here, and I hope my Senegalese brothers will forgive me,
Okay.
is, politics is all about dominance too. So the Gambia feared being dominated by Senegal to where Senegal was going to take over the Gambia. So that was one of the biggest fears, or the gossip on the other side too. It's like, oh, you know what though? Gambia obviously is larger than Senegal, 365 times larger than the Senegal, if I'm right.
In geographical size.
Yeah, in
okay.
geographical
Yeah.
side. And in population too is way larger. So if two people are going to be merging, there have to be, especially these are two independent countries, there have to be, some rules that means, what, Petros, you're not going to take me. We
Yeah.
can work together. You are powerful, yes, but the Gambia too need to be as powerful as Senegal. It needs to be sovereign. It needs to be independent. It needs to, represent its citizens. So that fear was probably the biggest thing that led to the collapse of the Confederation.
Yeah.
Because on the gossip side, that if the Gambia continued with that federation, yes, the trade was going to be good. People were going to be the same. But the Gambia was losing more in terms of economy, in terms of just being comfortable going to sleep and thinking I am independent, which is a big psychological thing.
Yeah.
But it's also important to go to sleep knowing you are free.
Very true.
That nobody else is going to claim you as a part of them. So, but the talks were on,
Okay.
and as you followed, it was really on, and citizens really liked that it happened. On the other side too, there were many skepticism into it too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, partly I can understand. They both got their independence, and not enough institutions were developed to secure Gambia's sphere
That's
in one sense,
Yeah.
and also to prevent Senegal's hegemony.
That's right.
I'm bigger, so I can take over.
Yes.
That's human nature.
That's human nature.
But
exactly.
the idea is still entertained in those two countries, or is it just like a foregone conclusion?
Yeah, I can tell you right now, and I follow a lot of what happens to Gambia now and Senegal. You probably know that. I do, and I do.
Yes. Yeah.
The idea, there is a late singer or recently who died, Musa Ngom, and may his soul rest in perfect peace. Musa Ngom was one of those musicians who really believed in a Senegambian, just like I explained earlier. Even when he was wearing his clothes, he would wear the flags, for example, two different shoe colors, two different socks.
Senegalese and Gambian?
Exactly. He wanted to pay tribute to Gambia and Senegal. Yes, population-wise, the people of the Gambia and people of Senegal are friends. They are brothers. They are family members. They are everything. That you will see somebody in Gambia today, and his parents or his mother or father might be from a neighboring Senegal. The same thing with Senegal. That is there. As far as the politics goes, the two governments, the truth is they are not in good times. Because for one, as it interests you to know, that Jammeh is one of those fueling those rebels that are in Casamance. So those rebels in turn see Jammeh as a mentor. When they do something wrong in Senegal, they'll go ahead and hide in the Gambia. Okay. That's one part. And the Senegalese government knows well that Jammeh have a hand in those rebels doing those activities. They know that, but they're playing politics of, they're playing their politics well. Well, Jammeh instead, what he wants to portray himself as the position man who is going to mediate between Senegal and the rebels. But Senegal refused to do that. Abdoulaye Wade, refused to have him do that. That's the truth. They know he is the bad guy within the region. They know that. He liked to portray himself as I brought peace in Guinea. But he is not bringing peace. In fact, he is the representation of regional instability. Imagine, when during the time of, when Guinea was going through all this crisis, this guy was befriending, he would go to Nino Vera one time, and he would go to the other. He would go to the other person, and he had a hand in it, including General Bubu Nachuto, who is being tried in the U.S. for drug trafficking. He took refuge in Jammeh, and that's his drug partner. these are things that are not said in the open.
Yeah.
Because probably the U.S. too have some interest in that.
Yeah.
But, I'm just telling you that General Bumuna Chuto, when he ran from Guinea, he came to take refuge in the Gambia under Jammeh until the U.S. government ended up getting him, and now he's been tried in the U.S. here, and who knows what names he have given. And I can tell you for sure that though among all the names he will give, Jammeh is number one. That's his conspirator. That's his partner. So, and then the other part is that the Senegalese government, they've had enough of Jammeh. Remember, Jammeh would go on open TV and insult Abdoulaye Wade. Recently, he did it for Macky Sall, where he went and last out the guy because he sees Macky Sall as a puppet of the West. That's what he called him. He called him out names. But Macky is refusing. There is a saying in our local languages that says, if you don't want a dirty fart to taint your clothes, then you don't wrestle with the guy. So that's the politics that Macky is doing with him. So a confederation right now, I don't see it happening anytime soon. One, that Jammeh have to go. Jammeh have to go. And also, there have been some politics being plagued by Macky Sall. He too have to be out of there too. That the ordinary citizens, the Maliks, the other, refreshed citizens who are educated, who are exposed to some other ways of life will go ahead and develop those structures. And at some point, we are looking at a happy Senegambia.
Senegambia, I mean, I'm sure pretty much the same history is repeated on other parts of Africa.
That's
but
right.
People need to take this as an example. Geographically speaking, Senegal seems to hug Gambia.
Oh, it will interest you, and I was yet to get to that.
Okay.
All right. So let's go back to Gambia and Senegal again.
Okay.
So during colonialism, the British and the French had a tussle. Everybody wanted the land. So the French were interested in the hinterland, and the British were interested in the riverside. So if you look at the Gambia, it's just a little strip inside Senegal. And by population or by geographical area, the Gambia is 10,356 kilometers square.
Okay.
From Khartoum to Koina, which is about, if you know the state called Delaware in the U.S., the Gambia is 1/3
of the
size of Delaware.
Okay.
With a population of 1.5 million people.
Yes, okay.
And Senegal is over 300 times more than the Gambia.
The geographical size,
So, Senegal covers the Gambia on its 3 sides. And the 4th side is only the river.
The ocean.
So, speaking wise, you can say, the Senegal surrounds the Gambia because on all the land area, Senegal covers Gambia. Now, on the 4th side, where we have the Atlantic, it's so. The Gambia is covered wholly by Senegal.
By Senegal,
Yeah.
I'm talking about geographically, but just like you mentioned, a lot of things that you said makes sense. Yes, we need that Senegambian relationship to work, but what colonialism left for us, it will impact us for a generation to come. Forever. The fact that you guys speak English, the Senegalese French, right there is a barrier.
That is correct.
But just like you said, and the politics, they tend to, when it comes to peace, the two leaders talk.
Yes.
When it comes to war, the two leaders talk.
Yes.
They don't involve the population.
That's
They don't bring innovative institutions and all that stuff. As long as those things remain a reality, it will go on. We can talk a lot about this.
Thank you so
but
much, yes.
I want to talk about the Armed Forces Provisional Ruling Council, the AFPRC, led by Yahya Jammeh, deposed Jawara's government.
That's true.
Do you mind saying a little bit about that?
Yes, I will say it not little, a lot.
Okay.
But just to let you know, it's another emotional thing for Gambians too.
Yes.
It's one of the most unfortunate events that ever happened in Gambian history.
Cool.
Which is the coup d'etat of 1994.
Yeah.
For a long time, the PPP led by Sadauda Jawara was the leader where people enjoyed regional peace. The country enjoyed stability. Though infrastructural development was very low, education was probably also low. There were some problems, definitely, and one cannot say everything was nice and dandy. But then the coming of a military leader in the posting of Yahya Jammeh was really very unfortunate. So here is what happened. According to the Gambian military written by, there are some accounts of what happened prior, and we do talk to some of these top military officers that were there. Most of them are in exile now, and I have very close working relationship with most of them. So during the Jawara regime, there were these Nigerians military that were brought in, and they were in the background supporting too.
Oh, okay.
So the way of treatment of that Nigerian leaders, their military leaders in the Gambia, the way they were treating the Gambian soldiers was one of the complaints that the Gambian soldiers lodged.
Okay.
So you can take it that that's one of the main reasons too. Added to, they've also charged the Gambian government prior with corruption and nepotism and all that. But the current government have done more criminal activities. They've done more corrupt practices, and they've done more evil things. I can tell you that, from a false account.
Okay. We'll come to that for sure.
Yeah.
But would you say that they have some legitimate reason to conduct a coup?
No.
Okay.
They didn't have any legitimate reason to conduct a coup d'etat.
Yeah. But all the things that Jammeh claims that just like you said too, the Nigerians are influencing the government. There's nepotism, corruption, all that. Was this visible at that time?
Here is what I will say.
Yeah.
And just to be on the right side of history and to be consistent with my principles as a human rights activist.
Okay.
I want to say that I support coup d'etats if they are meant to do minor political surgeries. So I want to say openly that I am in support. If a government was too bad, especially with its criminal activities, I support dislodging that government to give people a breath of peace and a chance for democracy for region. Okay, having said that, now back to your question, no, he didn't have any legitimacy or any legal right to go ahead and overthrow a democratically elected government. There were problems there, but those ones were very minor. And his coming to power, he promised all these things that never were. He said, 30 years of corruption, 30 years of political difference, and he talked about, everything that he talked about, he have now done it the opposite way. He have done those wrongs, and, 1 trillion times more than one would even say they were happening. So it is a criminal activity, obviously, for him to have overthrown a democratically elected government. And his regime in power is a representation of a Hitler-like leadership, for the neo-Nazi in Germany.
Okay.
So his representation is a dark cloud that unfolded on Gambians and the region as a whole. The guy represents regional instability. Not only Gambia, not only Senegal, not Guinea, not Mali. He have his hands or his dirty tentacles everywhere, just like an octopus.
Okay.
So he's a political amateur.
All right.
Who talks just randomly without filtering through.
Yeah.
And he is very irresponsible when it comes to leadership and power. And he is very criminal in his mind. Anything but his power.
Okay.
And he would go the length and breadth of dealing with his own mother just to stay in power. That much I can tell you.
Okay.
Thank you, yeah.
In fact, maybe this can reinforce what you're saying. On one of his campaign speech, he said, I will develop the area that vote for me, but if you don't vote for me, don't expect anything. In addition to that, in 2001 and 2002, he allegedly engaged in a free election in Gambia. and remains a strong party in the National Assembly, while the UDP, I believe United Democratic Party, boycotted and leave him the open space to rule for many, many years to come.
That's true.
Okay.
You know, that quote that you made, it's even the simplest that have been heard from him.
Oh, okay.
Remember, this is the guy who will say he will bury people 6 feet deep. You know, so if somebody were to say, I will not develop your area, I will take that to saying, I'll cut you, I'll slit your neck, right?
Yes.
Or I will bury you 6 feet deep. Or, you know, he will cuss out, he would even lash out people, and he would even use stick to physically lash out people.
Okay.
That's all true.
Okay.
It is true. And I talked to family members of people who've been, you know, and he lashed out one soldier, took his big stick and lashed him out.
Yeah.
So, yes, those quotes, you know, they were the littlest of things that he have said.
Okay.
He have said that he would cut people's neck, he would kill them, and we have seen actions to follow, which is why we hold him accountable for all the human rights violations. And come what may, sooner or later, he will be tried for those human rights violations, maltreatments of citizens, and just the way he portrayed himself as a criminal leader.
Okay.
So now moving to the next thing, you know, probably it might interest you to know that ECOWAS didn't participate in the last elections, right? There are many problems when you look at a dictatorship. It's like, and it's an incumbent, empowered, you know, or having the resources. For example, you have the military resources. You have the TVs, which is the media. You muzzle the others that are critical. So it left others with nothing. You know, it's like he believes that the TV belongs to him. You know, during elections, none of the others are surfaced there, only his campaign. If even journalists and I know journalists who were working for the main TV station, GRTS, who were fired for just even showing sympathy with the other, even by commenting that, mentioning Dabo's name on TV or UDP, you can really get fired from working for the GRTS. Even in election analysis, if one of the person that was fired just said, "Oh, it looks like UDP will take Kiang," and that was it for him.
That was
you know,
a political statement. Okay.
So these elections are not fair. These elections are not free, because I can tell you a number of things that the guy is doing.
Okay.
And it is a fact. So one, the Electoral Commission, which is the IEC of the Gambia, he is the one that structured that. Those are his puppets.
Oh, okay, from the get-go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the Electoral Commission is his puppet body that does nothing but to serve him. Those people are just in place. Whatever is going to work for this guy, that's what they will do. Anything that's against him, they will not do. So recently, even they raised the registration amount of those that want to contest for elections. Can you imagine that?
Okay.
Yeah, that is, you know, the amount is so high that even a political party leader might find it hard to come up with that amount. Okay. Then the second thing also, Jammeh have indeed encouraged citizens in the neighborhood to go ahead and register for voter cards. You know, and you know, and I have very good friends from the Jola community, which is also part of my history too. I have a long friendship with them, connections, friends, good people. But then Jammeh have used customers, and even some people from neighboring Senegal, which borders with the Gambia. Some of them are believed to have registered in the Gambia during elections for the purpose of giving him the votes.
Inflating the numbers.
Exactly. And then the other part also, he's using the state resources, money, to bribe those, what you call the voter population, in order to have them vote for him. And even language of intimidation too, where, like you quoted earlier, he went to places like Badibu, and he would say, oh, you know what, though, he will cuss them out and has them out and, just say all kind of bad words to them.
Yeah.
So people are living in an environment of fear, even if the president, or Jammeh, I don't call him a president anyway, which is a criminal leader, even if he was passing by, traffic was stopped. If you are riding a bicycle, we've had people who've been dealt with in a very harsh way, and they lost their lives just for, riding their motor bicycle when the president was even around, and this was just, so this is a rogue administration.
Okay.
It's a
So
criminal regime, yes.
the whole concept of free and fair election is just a fad.
Yes.
It has nothing to do with the reality.
That is true.
Just like the way you're describing the election committee, you call them IEA?
IEC.
IEC.
Independent Electoral Commission,
Yeah.
but they are far from being independent. They are
and
far
fair.
from being electoral, and they are far from being a commission.
Okay.
They are, what they are is a puppet body for Jammeh that, in short, quote unquote, they are enablers of the
Enablers.
bad administration.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
they are
it is,
enablers, yes.
it's clearing a lot of issue
Yeah.
for me as well as for the audience.
Yes, thank you.
They say a fish stinks from the head.
Yes, thank you.
If the head is not,
Yeah.
So, okay, that is, I'm glad you mentioned a lot of human rights violation
Yes.
and media violations. And there's also some killings.
Yes.
In fact, was it in 2011, if I'm not mistaken, that prisoners were ordered to be executed?
That's true.
Do you mind saying?
Yes, it's a very emotional thing for me.
Okay.
Be that, again, I follow this with heart, and I follow them very closely. I am a part of the whole process in terms of, the diaspora activities here, obviously, as a human rights activist, and also as an editor for the Gainaku newspaper as well, and working in collaboration with a lot of online media that are both outside and at home too. I participate, I talk to people, and I even do interviews with them. So, yes, there were some killings that were done. Those killings were done in a way that wasn't right. And we had one lawyer called, for the sake of the interview, since he's back home now, I will want to protect his identity.
That's fine, I understand.
So they don't come after him, because they're listening to whatever you and I are saying here.
Yes, yeah.
So what happened, according to the explanation he gave me, those legal cases were pending review. What that means is, yes, you can find somebody guilty in a court of law.
Okay.
But before you move for, execution,
yeah.
those, most of them were pending review. And some of the others, yes, true, you are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law.
Yes.
But even if a court of law have decided you're guilty, there is still a chance called appeal. An appeal, and also, what they should have done, according to this legal luminary, even if they wanted to move with the executions, they should have allowed the review by the law to take place first.
Independently.
And then they would get recommendation from, the Department of Justice or the Attorney General of the country, who is also, according to Section 72 and 72 of the Gambian Constitution, empowered as an advisory body for the president.
Okay.
So to advise the president whether they should move forward with the killings.
In short, he override everything.
Yes, that wasn't done.
Okay.
So what we saw, unfortunately, that Jammeh decided to sacrifice these people for his own power sustenance. In Africa, they have these, I think in English we say voodoo, or believe in idols.
Okay.
So he is an idol. He's an idol worshipper.
Okay.
And whatever these idols tell him is what he follows. So he is greatly leaning towards idol worshiping.
Yeah.
So that part was believed to be associated with that. But alongside, the other thing that happened during the time that those killings happened, they did them secretly too without informing family members. And to date, those that were killed were not handed over for proper burial with their family members as well.
Yes.
Which is a very big disrespect, especially to other countries like Senegal. And they have one lady who was Tabara Samba, who was also killed alongside. And, that person haven't been returned to Senegal. That is, a violation of international treaty and relationship. But take a look at the case for Tabara Samba. True, and I'm not saying that she was, I'm just going to use that as a case point.
Okay.
I'm not saying that Tabara Samba was completely innocent. True, she fought with her husband, and she used hot water and poured it on him. By accident, that guy ended up passing away. So, if you look at it, husband and wife, they are loving people. So if an accident happened to where, and it is related to jealousy situation, relationship situation, I believe that the law should come in a certain way.
Yeah, even for her. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, but they killed this lady. She was among those that were killed, and many others too.
Okay.
Many people whose cases were pending review. And they did it secretively too.
Without consulting the advisors, with no due process.
Yeah, and even the Gambia media, only when they were exposed outside. When the international, because I know somebody who was in jail, who was smuggling information out for people. And when the Freedom, which is the US-based newspaper, reported the names of those killed, because Freedom had access to those names, and then the government started reacting up, and they went and then prepared a press release, a statement on the TV, and saying they were moving. And guess what? The unfortunate part, when Jammeh made that announcement, it was a day of Eid for Muslim, which is a feast. I believe it was Eid of Adha, which is the feast of sacrifice. So the point I'm making, on a day when people are doing festivals, you should think of something better. At least from a Muslim and Christian point of view, we are taught to be lenient. But you going on TV on a national, on a People's Day,
holiday,
and then People's Holiday, and you're saying that you're going to be killing people, that's really unacceptable. And they, it's the height of criminal activity.
Okay.
And he followed it up with action. So when he went on to say if he didn't kill people, quote unquote, that he will drink pork and he will drink alcohol and eat pork.
Oh, okay.
And he went and followed it up. So who do we hold accountable? So the ugly part is, after that is done, the killing, and the international community made large deal out of it, including those of us who are in the diaspora. We organized a lot of demonstration, even in Minnesota here. We met some of the Congress people here. We went to St. Paul. We organized a large demonstration that was widely publicized. It was done in other states as well, and even outside the U.S. Now, Jammeh, on the other hand, went and then fuel the local community, so those people can go on TV, and then they'll sit there and say, Jammeh, please forgive now. You don't have to continue on the other executions that are pending. Of course, this is a madman who wants praises, who wants accolades, who wants people just singing him. So he portrayed on the other side that people are saying, sabari. Sabari in our language means forgive. So he pretended that he went on and said he is stopping not because the international community or those of the diaspora group, he's stopping because the Gambians have pleaded with him to stop, including the current vice president, who is also another useless. No, the current vice president, who is another very useless person who's been used by this criminal regime for many things.
Well, regardless of the justification, the remaining people were free, right? Whether he used it for his own political expediency or not, but it's a good thing. I'm not saying that does not change who Jammeh is.
And those, just to correct. And thank you for saying that. He, dictators are like chameleons. They focus on the ball. People might think they're stupid. Yes, they're stupid with the way actions they do to human beings, but they're very intelligent as far as dividing and ruling.
Very calculating.
So with the current freeing of people who were in jail, guess what? Most of them never pleaded guilty in a court of law. Some of them were not even completely tried. So if you said, you've forgiven somebody, to me, forgiveness, it must have been somebody who committed a crime. But take an example for the military men, Lan Tombong and the others. They were still going to Court of Appeal. I believe even though Court of Appeal completed it, but they said they didn't commit the crime. So you forgiving somebody who said, "Oh, I didn't commit a crime," and you're saying he committed a crime, and you're freeing him. I think something is wrong with that.
Oh, yeah, no.
And the other bad side of this whole thing, you know, Petros, and I was I was the least unhappy about it. Again, he didn't go back to empower the Constitution and the legal system. So the president, you know, yes, he is empowered by the Constitution to do certain forgiveness, but such recommendation have to come from the, you know, the Attorney General, which is the Justice Department. And then the other part of it too, if a case was pending before the court, the president cannot do anything about that. So that case have to be completed.
Yeah.
Innocent or guilty. Then at that point, the president is able to forgive. But Gambians are not seeing that, or a fraction of Gambians who are working with him, they're not seeing that. The only thing they see, oh, at least you guys should be happy that these people are released. No, I am not happy. No, I am not contented. No, Petros, I'm not satisfied. Because it's been done wrongly, and he's portraying himself as the good citizen when the only bad citizen in that country starts with him, and where all the other bad citizens stop, his badness or madness, his madness started there and continues to the skies. That's a bad criminal ruler.
It is, yeah. And I agree. When you become the jury, the judge, and the prosecutor.
Exactly, there you go.
You know, the rest doesn't matter. That's why I was saying earlier, you know, if there is an individual dictatorship, whatever you do, regardless, you call it freedom, media, press, it all doesn't matter.
That is true.
I agree with you.
And he is the jury, the jury, and the prosecutor.
The prosecutor,
as well.
So, in short, that's him.
Yes.
And in that sense, I think he came up with a Constitutional Review Commission. They call it CRC. If I'm not mistaken, he converted the legislative body as unicameral, and that gives him a strong presidency. And again, he calls it independent jury. Short brief, then we'll go to the next question.
Thank you, Petros. Again, that Gambian constitution right now, excuse my language, is quote unquote, and I've had somebody else, another activist, call it a toilet paper. And that's what it is. That's what it is. You know, he doesn't even go by that constitution. He doesn't go back to see what the constitution says. You know, and in many instances, he haven't acted by even the very existing constitution. Think of it, the term limit. Term limits should be something that should be in any formidable or any constitution. There have to be term limit for the presidency.
He's been there for 20 years.
Exactly. Since part of the complaints that he had, of course, when he came into power, was that, you know, the PPP overstayed. So if you come into power to rectify that, why are you not having a term limit? And he's been in power now for how long? Since July of 1994.
The 15 years, 20 years coming.
Exactly.
Okay. My next question is, Gambia, of course, again, Jammeh, announced that he's leaving the Commonwealth of Nations, declaring that Gambia will never be a member of the neo-colonial institutions.
That's right. Wasn't that your favorite, Petros?
Yes. Not only that, but some of his foreign policy issues, you know, antagonizing China by recognizing Taiwan. And recently, well, we'll come to that one later on, but that foreign relation, you mentioned it earlier a little bit, you know, the guy is a destabilizer of the region, not only locally.
And I do have the answer. I know exactly where you're aiming.
Go ahead.
Like I said, I do speak with a lot of people, including some of his close, one time, obviously, people who work with him, including to the level of external affairs. So I do talk to a lot of people who have worked with Jammeh. Very good working relationship I have with them. If you were to ask me to describe Jammeh in few words, probably I would say he's a criminal. He is a political hypocrite, and you know, this is you know, it's just a madman in place. You know, and doing madman shows. In terms of what you were asking about his endorsements of certain regions,
And the Commonwealth nations.
the Commonwealth, I'll get to that because that's a big one.
Okay.
Right now, which you will also get to later, President Macky Sall of Senegal, because of some terror activities that were done in Senegal by people who portray to be having the burqa.
Burqa, okay.
Okay, the burqa supplements the veil, which is called hijab.
Hijab, yeah.
Okay, the hijab covers the head down, so the burqa covers the face. And I believe those are Arabic terms.
Yes, yes.
So recently, Senegalese president, as a result of those activities, and you know Senegal have a very good working relation with the U.S. And even France and other countries, and that's how they station themselves. So as soon as Macky Sall did that, of course, him being a jealous person went and lashed out Macky Sall, calling him he's a puppet of the U.S., and he even went to the extent of declaring Gambia as an Islamic state. Okay, but let me get to that later, Petros.
Okay.
With the Commonwealth, Jammeh did that purposely to position himself in the limelight. To position himself in the limelight. That's the main reason he did that, because he was being cornered by these bodies. He was tired of the truth that they were telling him. So the only way that you can show, he can fight that was just to say, I'm not part of you, because whatever they said, he didn't do. He didn't abide by any of those rules, and those people are holding him accountable for the wrongs that he have done, the human rights violations especially. Those were ones that cornered him. And he didn't have any way of, dealing with the situation, was just to say, oh, I'm out of this. But all the reasons that he gave, he keep insulting the guy is not vast when it comes to history.
Oh, okay.
He will keep, blaming, the farting of the donkeys in his home village, Kanilai. If the donkeys fart there, he will blame it to the West.
Go out there, yeah. Well,
anything he says, to him, he thinks being anti-West. Of course, he does it for strategic reason. As you know, he's impressed in China.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
He's impressed in Taiwan. He's impressed in the Arab countries. And that's what he does. He knows he's not getting much what he needs here. The only way he can do it is just to start insulting the West.
Yeah.
In that way, the other people will say, hey, you know what, though, here is this guy.
So are you saying that when he does that, is he getting a local support, like the burqa issue, since Gambia is 93% Muslim? You think he'll impress them somehow, or he just has a desperate move?
He doesn't.
Desperate move.
This guy is just being very irresponsible.
Okay.
He's a criminal leader. He doesn't have any support. That with me, as far as I'm concerned, even my dish shoot. If I put it on the wall there, it's enough to get the guy running.
Okay.
He's a coward too.
Okay.
So he doesn't have any local support.
Okay.
He doesn't have any international support. The only support that he have is the military, some of the military that he indoctrinated.
Yeah.
Obviously, putting some of his loyalists, they could be from his tribe, they could be from other tribes that he indoctrinated. He picked some of them from the streets and stationed them in key positions, to where they are coming from a place of hopelessness to a place of, oh, you know what, I got power. And that's a very dangerous situation. So, but with him, he doesn't have any support.
Yeah. So declaring the Islamic State is just like...
Oh, he probably was drunk. And, for all that people say is he gets on, it's two things.
Okay.
He didn't know what he was saying, that's one. He was being irresponsible in what he was saying.
Yeah.
And he was speaking by, should I say, anxiety?
Anxiety.
So he wasn't really speaking the truth. It wasn't him.
Yeah.
Or that he didn't even take his medicine.
Oh, okay.
Because, the guy, he is dealing with a lot of situations, including health issues.
Okay.
So he wasn't doing well. And that was one of the most irresponsible comments that came out of his mouth.
Okay.
Because Gambia is a secular country.
Yeah.
This is a secular state. There are Christians, there are Muslims, and some of us, we have family members in both situations. And we enjoyed that long, good relationship.
Okay.
So, and the Christian community contributed equally a lot, to to independence in that
Yeah.
country, and they even played a pivotal role in the continued democratization of the Gambia
Yeah.
too. To date,
In fact, to the credit of Gambia and as well as Senegal, Senegal had a Christian president while the
exactly,
95% of the population were there.
exactly,
Maybe very few country who can be a role model for the rest of Africa.
yeah.
Let me ask you the last question since our time is almost up. We talked about problems.
Yes.
You know, human rights violations, the hypocrisy of Jammeh,
Yep.
and the madness of Jammeh, what have you. If there is a need for change, you believe this.
Yes.
There is a need for it.
Change.
In 2 minutes, if you can describe it to us, is it going to be a popular uprising, or is it something that you still need to work within the legal system if there is a hole that you can begin? Yeah.
Well, thank you. You know, I believe one way that change can take place is through elections. But right now, the ingredients for elections, for him to be out of power, they are very thin, because then he controls the media.
Okay.
He controls the people. He controls the state resources, the military. So the oppositions haven't getting the limelight they need. They couldn't even, you know, the last time I checked, you know, at the UDP, which is one of the main, what do you call it, main opposition leaders, his team have been, or his prominent team players have been getting dragged to court. Femi Peters, you know, was just was taken in jail for just using you know, like the, what do you call it, the ecosystem, the, you know, loudspeaker.
Oh, okay.
Like a speaker.
Yeah.
He was taken to jail for that.
Just for using that.
Okay, and then Amadou Sane, another prominent UDP person, is currently in jail, and he went all the way to appeal. Even Jammeh's hypocrisy is that even though he forgave others who did more criminal activities, or, you know, rape, killing, and all those, but Amadou Sane, whose arrest and who's continued keeping behind jail is because of politics, you know, that person wasn't released.
Okay.
You know, and that's the hypocrisy.
Yeah.
So elections is possible, but he have to be out. He have to be out of the equation.
Yeah.
And it is long overdue. He have to pack his stuff and go. Okay. Because, let me just wrap this up.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Because his ending is going to be that of Saddam Hussein, you know, or Gaddafi. Okay. More than likely like Gaddafi. Okay. So I'm leaning more towards a popular uprising. Or there will be an internal, you know, with the current military that is in the Gambia, there are those of the soldiers that will hopefully get fed up and just deal with him right there. So that's another possibility too. So a coup d'etat, because the Gambia continually sits on a ticking time bomb, we can explode anytime because people are so upset. Yeah. A lot of families are hot. So that's the second one. Okay, now the third one is a popular uprising, which will be backed by the military. But then, you know, some of the opposition leaders will always say, oh, we believe in the law, we believe in elections. But on one hand, too, they haven't been able to come up with a unified force. But that one thing that I see, if Jammeh doesn't die from natural causes, then more than likely he is going to deal with a very ugly eventuality. And he knows that. It is not going to go down well with him. My wish, you know, obviously as a human rights activist and as a believer of the law, at the same time, one that believes that a criminal ruler like him needs to be booted out by all means necessary, that I hope that whoever comes in power, whether the military, whether a popular uprising, or whether even that he will be tried, you know, he will be tried in a law for the crimes that he have committed. Oh, yeah. That is my wish as a citizen. Okay. You know, I want him to be tried. I don't really, you know, even though he is losing that opportunity, he is losing that opportunity. It's not going to go down well with him. You probably followed what happened in Liberia with, what do you call, Prince Johnson and then the others.
Doe.
Yeah. So that ugly part, and even Nino Vera of Senegal, of Guinea. Yeah. So that ugly part is what is following this guy. Okay. So it's not going to go well with him because, you know, like Shakespeare said, he who lives by the evil
will die by it.
Will die by the
Right,
evil.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. So,
Yeah, but
mhm.
yeah. Hopefully, the change will likely to have the scenario of Tunisia rather than Libya.
I definitely hope
Yeah,
so.
but
But the
if
chances are getting,
yeah,
because,
similar.
right now, with the way that the geography of the Gambia is,
Mhm.
and he succeeded in dividing the people, the military, and he have all these dangerous weapons at his disposal.
Yeah,
But also the easiest way, probably, after he leaves that country or he travels anytime,
yeah,
I have told the military to shut the borders.
yeah.
I have said that in the past, and I still believe that the easiest way to do this, and reconciliation will come later for Gambians.
Mhm.
As soon as he travels outside, they should close the borders. Closing the borders means you told that, look, go find somewhere else until when we are ready for you.
Mhm.
But you cannot come here because we are a united Gambia.
Yep.
And I am a firm believer. That's the easiest way to avoid human loss,
Yep.
and then also to avoid more structural damage. Because if there's any fighting, obviously it's going to be ugly.
Oh,
But
yeah,
giving him an ultimatum as soon as he leaves that country
Mm.
for travel anywhere, say, hey, Jammeh, your mandate is gone. We have closed the borders. You can't come back here.
Mhm.
And they can do it. You can't come back here. We have closed the borders. The Gambia belongs to all of us.
Oh.
And that's it. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, no, this was great.
Yeah.
But one last comment that I wanted to make. Sometimes, as much as you hope, you'll go out and stay there,
Yes.
the united effort of the opposition also matters.
Mhm.
And I guess if you work that hand in hand,
Mhm.
there's much more chance of succeeding
Mhm.
the uprising and whatever come.
Yes.
But if the opposition is divided,
Mhm.
there's always going to be another Jammeh
And
on the future.
that's what we are dealing
Yeah,
with.
okay, thank
And you are accurately right.
Yeah.
On the other side, or on the flip side,
Mm.
and I've been very active. In fact, even the forced opposition, attending even the forced conference that was held here in the U.S., which foresaw the unity of the opposition in the beginning.
Yeah, okay.
So I've been involved in it. And
In it.
locally here, obviously,
Yeah.
I myself, and of course Cherno,
Yeah.
and many others here locally, we've done a lot of work here,
Oh, yeah.
and
yeah.
not to beat our backs on it, but
No, I can see
we
that. yeah.
and we've done a lot to make sure that we raise funds. All the way to the end of that election, we were raising funds, supporting, that anybody who is fighting for the Gambia, despite whatever differences we have, I will still support you and I'll fight for you. To me, my main goal is to see Gambians being free.
All right, yes.
And I'm not going to stop until when Gambians are free.
On that note, we end our discussion for today.
Yes.
I really thank you for the enlightening us on the Gambian issue,
Yes.
historical as well as current.
Thank you.
And this will not be the only one. We will do a follow-up again.
Thank you so much, and to all your readers, and
Yep.
of course, I am also a part of this team. I thank you so much for the special invitation, Haley, and we look forward to also having you guys on Gainako. We do have a lot of activities, and we do have a great teamwork, which is from Ahmed Jite, Demba Balde, Mama Linger Sar in Sweden, and then also Flex Dan, who is also in the UK. We have a good team, and I'll also do my best to give you guys exposure with the Gambian community and with the other online media, and you guys are welcome to come and do interviews with us too. But I thank you so much. I feel very honored to come and then talk about these events that happen in the Gambia, and I'm glad that you guys are including Gambia as part of the package here at Tempo Africa, and that makes me ever very proud of you guys here, and you guys are doing a good job too. I look forward to resuming back my columns very soon, to
Okay.
where I will definitely compliment most of what you guys are doing.
Okay, thank you. Again, we'll do a follow-up. And thank you, YERO. On this note, we'll end today's program of Beyond the Headlines. I'll see you next week with a different guest. Thank you.
Gambian President Yahya Jammeh has declared his Muslim-majority country an Islamic republic, saying the move marks a break with the colonial past. Mr. Jammeh told State TV the proclamation was in line with Gambia's religious identity and values. He added that no dress code would be imposed and citizens of other faiths would be allowed to practice freely. Some 90% of Gambians are Muslim. The former British colony's economy relies heavily on tourism. However, relations with the West have soured recently. The European Union temporarily withheld aid money to Gambia last year over its poor human rights record. Mr. Jammeh has been president of the tiny West African country for 21 years. As Muslims are the majority in the country, the Gambia cannot afford to continue the colonial legacy, Mr. Jammeh told State TV, explaining his decision to proclaim an Islamic Republic. Other Islamic republics include Iran, Pakistan and, in Africa, Mauritania. Mr. Jammeh withdrew Gambia from the Commonwealth in 2013, describing the organization as neo-colonial.
Mosoma. Tangativo ombusa tanga neusama kosa. Alumuna sisi au yasama kosa. Amuna yeye,